Radio.
Great, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shit Radio, a number 5 podcast for the everyman. I'm your host, Bill Brasky, joined as always with Liars.
Hello, everyone.
And Wasted.
What is up?
Tonight on the show, we're going to talk about the greatest soundtrack you never have heard. Boys, you brought this up to me as a topic, and I didn't know anything about it. And after I saw the details and I looked at the track listing, whew, you're right. This is the greatest soundtrack that I've never heard, and probably our audience has never heard. So, Lars, why don't you go over the movie and the soundtrack?
All right. So think of this. Frank and his younger brother, John, and their friends, they rent this RV, and they're on their way to this this like super hyped up boxing match in Chicago for the night. And Ray gets off the expressway at the wrong stop and cuts through not a very good part of town. And I guess they find somebody on the side of the road, and they get taken over by some 3 dangerous guys, and anyway, it all ends in horror and just a terrible night. The movie, of course, starring Emilio Estevez, Cuba Gooding Jr., Dennis Leary, Stephen Dorff, and Jeremy Piven. Of course, everyone knows this movie is Judgment Night. But do you know the soundtrack? Soundtrack is, well, it was basically a precursor to what nu metal was gonna, in my opinion, what nu metal was going to be turned into. I mean, this was an epic mashup of hardcore bands or alternative bands with rappers. I mean, we had Helmet and House of Pain for just the opening track called Just Another Victim. We had Living Color with Run DMC, Biohazard with Onyx, and Slayer with Ice-T. I mean, come on now. Faith No More with Booyah Tribe, Sonic Youth and Cypress Hill and Pearl Jam. I mean, these are Dinosaur Jr. and Del the Funky Homo Sapien. If you guys know any of these bands, I highly recommend check this out. This is like, it was this one-time deal. No, nothing like this has ever been done again, or not to this magnitude. I mean, sure, there might have been songs or collaborations along the way, but not a whole album of it, man. Like, you got Cypress Hill and Sonic Youth, 2 powerhouse bands from the 90s teaming up, and just this beautiful song about Mary Jane. I don't think it's the girl Mary Jane that they're talking about either. Wasted?
Yeah, I came to this album almost by accident. Through I was basically a Faith No More fan, and maybe between albums, they did this cover of Another Body Murdered with the Booyah Tribe. So I checked that out, and then how do I get this song? I buy the soundtrack. And then I was looking at the soundtrack, and there's all these, there's bands like Teenage Fan Club, I know, and but some of them are not. I didn't know Helmet. Don't know much about Biohazard or Onyx, So, but yeah, it was really that sort of Another Body Murdered Faith No More song, and Faith No More. Pat and Yo's used to take the mick out of like bands like Korn. And their drummer actually joined Korn. So it was kind of like a blueprint for what was going to happen. But he always used to make fun of them. But he sort of also done that kind of thing with the Booyah Tribe, and so they'd always done kind of rap. But yeah, I think Falling is a good one. Falling with the Teenage Fan Club, and another one that stuck out to me, just another victim. You're just another victim, kid. I mean,
Yeah, the opening track is one of the strongest on the album for sure. I just want to clarify something that I did say. Now, I said that collaborations like this have never happened. Like nothing like this happened again. There were similar soundtracks, not with rap and rock, but more of like electronic and rock music, specifically Spawn and Blade. They did the mixing of those two. So nothing quite like the rap and rock, like full album, full heart in your face. Like you got to understand this, like this music is in your face. It's aggressive, it's loud, it's raunchy, and it's just full on adrenaline for 48 minutes, and
Hey,
it's
Wires,
wonderful.
I'm going to kind
yeah,
of
the
ruin
only
what
thing
you
I
just
can
said a
think
little
of is
bit. Wasted, hold on. I'm going to ruin what you just said a little bit because I'm looking at the track listing. And now I remember one of these songs because it's just a banger of a song. Okay, so Fallen by Teenage Fan Club and De La Soul. Dude, that's based off the Tom Petty song Free Fallin'. It's crazy. Have you never heard that song? It's such a good song, man. It's something that you'd hear like at the clubs back in the day in the early 2000s. Like it still was going. I also like I didn't know anything about this album when you both brought it up and you were telling me how great it was. I'm like, okay, and then I looked like at the track listing and you're completely right. It's got bands like performing together that you never would have expected. It's amazing. But the thing is, like, this album was pretty successful. You know, it went gold. It peaked at number 17 on the Billboard 200. You know, it had a bunch of singles out of it. It had, 4 singles off an album. This was a really successful thing, and that just never happened again. And, you're a big fan of it. Wasted is a big fan of it. I'm shocked that it was never attempted again, or maybe this is just like one of those times where, the lightning just hits the tree or the stars align, because I've never seen, like, the only thing I could think of really would be when Jay-Z and Linkin Park got together and they did that, like, small EP, but that's just one band and one rapper. This was a whole collaboration.
yeah, the only time I've heard it before is maybe like Anthrax and Public Enemy, Bring the Noise, but I don't know if that's before or after. But these are bands. These bands are from two different worlds, aren't they? They don't just like hang out in the same club so much or whatever. They're in different worlds. Ice-T and Slayer, I don't see them just like bumping each other at the bar, like, oh, hello.
Oh, so good.
So
No, that'd be the one that I'd actually disagree with, because didn't Ice-T have, what was it, Body Count or something like that, where he attempted to do, like, rock music?
Body Count.
Yeah, right?
So they were actually pretty successful. They just released, I think, their 7th studio album like last year. So impressive. I mean, that's a feat in itself. Like getting one album out is impressive, let alone getting 7, right? For a career spanning over multiple decades. So I don't know how successful they are commercially, but I mean, they're obviously well off enough to be making 7 albums, right? So.
Now, the funny thing is,
They're
where was this album mostly distributed? Did you have to go to a record store? Because I don't see this being at, like, your Walmart or your Kmart, just due to the, it's got parental advisory on it, which usually means Walmart wouldn't stock it back in the day, Kmart wouldn't stock it back in the day, your Targets wouldn't stock it. So you'd have to, and there was no online shopping. This wasn't like you could just go to Amazon. You'd have to go to a Sam Goody. For me, it would have been Newberry Comics.
I remember picking it up at good old HMV. I don't know if you guys remember HMV, but that's.
I think I got it in the soundtrack section at an independent record store, Way Ahead Records. It was just next to lots of variety, and because it's more of like an underground record store,
There you go.
Just random stuff, and they had it like above the cashier's desk, as a featured album of them. So it wasn't that hard to find, but that was a pretty grimy record store.
Nice.
But soundtrack, it's a soundtrack album now.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like Brasky was saying, it did fairly well. I mean, peak position was, number 22 in Canada. That's where I'm looking. That's where I'm calling from. In the United States, it reached gold status.
Number 17 in the Billboard
sold.
200.
There you go. The number 17 in the Billboard 200. Like,
and
I mean, it was a successful album at the time, and I mean, I do remember the movie doing fairly well as also.
It's a Hollywood movie, yeah.
Well, we've talked about the movie before on the show. It's a really great movie where these guys are going to a big boxing match. They got a RV, and they just, once again, you take a wrong turn in the city, and that's, most people don't realize how cities are in the United States. You take a wrong turn. This was before cell phones. This was before GPS. There used to be neighborhoods that police just didn't go down. And they take a wrong turn. The events unfold. It's a wild, crazy night. They got to, run for their lives, and a bunch of shenanigans happen. And the soundtrack really matches the vibe of the movie because it's not like a horror film, but it's a dark movie. It's a very realistic movie to a degree of like, hey, shit's gone bad. These guys are like normal suburban folk. They ain't prepared to deal with the issues that they're going to face in the movie. So the soundtrack's amazing towards it. The thing that I'm trying to figure out is where would most of this music get played, because it was not the day of the internet where you have Spotify where something comes out, oh look, I can just listen on Spotify or iTunes. The radio stations were pretty much, hey, listen, we're the rap station, we only play rap. We're the rock station, we're just gonna, at the time that this movie came out, it was pretty much, we're just gonna play grunge or Guns N' Roses and Metallica. And then the classic rock stations like playing Boston and Aerosmith. This wasn't something that was going to cross over to either type of radio station. This wasn't going to get played a lot on the rap station. This wasn't going to get played a lot on the rock station. So it did incredibly well, and I think that had to be word of mouth about the incredible collaborations. I don't think there's any live performances of these, maybe except the I Love Mary Jane song. I can see that being performed together in a concert somewhere, but I don't think the majority of these songs were ever performed live.
I think Faith No More performed it live with the Booyah Tribe once at one of their shows. I think so, yeah. I think they did it. Usually they do it live because they do random song covers and things like that. And I think one time the Booyah Tribe did come on stage with them.
Cool. Yeah, I like that.
But Liars,
I like that for sure.
Like we were saying, this is the best soundtrack you've never heard. Because
Absolutely.
It wasn't going to be something that was mainstream available. You weren't getting it at your Walmart. You weren't getting it at Target. It wasn't going to be played on the rock station. It wasn't going to be like there a music videos instead of the I Love Mary Jane made for this? I don't think so.
It was for the Booyah Tribe, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the I Love Mary Jane thing was only going to be played. Wasted. Shh, don't make me Joe Biden. You just shh. Calm down, pal.
I was going to try that.
But they weren't going to be played on MTV in the States during like regular hours. Like most of these songs, if there was videos, let's say there was a video, it was going to be played after midnight. Do you know what I mean?
It was just so different at the time. Do you know? It nothing before or after was like this.
One of the things that would have been hard, at least you would think would be hard, but I never experienced it, was you remember that in the United States, I don't know if it was the same way in Canada and England, it says, parental advisory usually meant that you had to be like 18 to buy these, CDs or albums or cassettes. I never had that issue. Like, I could go in there and, pick it up at the record store when I was like 13, 14 years old, and everyone's like cool with it, but I don't get the whole parental advisory. Like, who gives a shit? Like, I could buy an R-rated movie, at Walmart when I was, 12 years old. No one cared. I don't understand that. Now, Wasted, you were, when I was bringing up the point that earlier of, how this wasn't going to really cross over to any mainstream and really wasn't going to be shown on MTV till at least after midnight, you were trying to say something? What was that you were trying to say?
I was just saying, I think Another Body Murdered did have a video because I remember watching it. But like you said, I don't think it was in high rotation on MTV. It may have been on MTV for a bit, but you're talking about a week. It wasn't like a Poison song or Guns N' Roses playing for years and years. It was of interest for a little bit, mostly from Faith No More fans, I think.
Yeah, but look at the year that it came out was Sorry, Wasted to interrupt you, but the year that it came out was 1993. That's like the peak of grunge.
Maybe that it did. I think in another time, like, it may have never got any traction. This wouldn't have, they wouldn't have come up with this idea of the soundtrack. We've got this Hollywood movie. It's a dark horror movie or whatever. Let's get Slayer and Run DMC. I mean, it's kind of it's of its time, and it's still niche. I think it's like it still wasn't it wasn't MTV.
Extremely niche.
High rotation stuff at all. Booyah Tribe isn't really that big.
No, absolutely not. And even bands like Sonic Youth, like they were big, but they were always very underground, like very, very underground.
I would disagree with that. Sonic Youth was played
And De La Soul was big in the UK.
They weren't selling out stadiums.
Yeah, but what I would say is Sonic Youth was getting heavy rotation here in the Northeast in America, Boston, New York City. Like Sonic Youth was being played, pretty much. Like don't they appear in a Simpsons episode, like mentioned?
Yes, they do. Yes,
Like
they
when
do.
Homer's at Lollapalooza. So, if you make the Simpsons in the early 90s, you're not unknown. I think what you guys are missing is that like the time, like, hold on, gentlemen. 1993 when this came out, like I said earlier, that was really still grunge. It was still like the biggest part of music at that time. But in the next year or two is when hip hop really, really started to creep up with Biggie and Tupac. I think if this soundtrack came out a year or 2 years later, it would have been massive. Because you would have had a lot of the carryover folks that started listening to hip hop more that used to listen to rock. I just think this album came out in the wrong time frame. I disagree with you guys. I think if it came out in 94, 95, it would have been a massive hit.
I think you're onto something there. I definitely think you're onto something.
Yeah, if you'd got Ice Cube and the more gangster rap guys, because most of these rappers they're a bit kind of indie rappers. De La Soul,
Yeah,
Run DMC.
like I'm not saying
they're not the big. They're not Jay-Z.
Yeah, well, wasted. Jay-Z wasn't shit back then, okay? Like, we're talking 1993, so back then it's, NWA already broke up, so now you got Ice-T, you got Ice Cube, you got Snoop Dogg really dominating. Naughty by Nature was actually huge at that time, too. So those are the rap bands, or rap artists that are dominating at that time. If you just waited like another year or two, because MTV was like, okay, let's play Nirvana, let's play Soundgarden, okay, then we'll play... maybe Snoop Dogg, or we'll play Ice Cube. It wasn't really, there was more of a 50-50 mix.
Yeah.
Where in a year or two later, like no one was listening to rock as much in 94, 95 as they were hip hop. And this would have been a massive crossover, in my opinion, at that time, because you would have had the rock fans going, oh, hey, listen, I like this rock band. They're kind of, not mainstream, but now they're with a giant hip hop artist. Because it seems like most of these hip hop artists, with the exception of Run DMC, got bigger after the soundtrack came out. Am I wrong on that, guys?
I think you're right. No, I think you're definitely onto something there for sure.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Cypress Hill, 91.
Yeah, because Cypress Hill was huge in like 94, 95. That's like when they hit their peak. Like Cypress Hill didn't really break out in 93, if I remember correctly. Now, mind you, I was a youngin' at the time, But, I remember, Insane in the Membrane, we're running through like elementary school, middle school, and going, Insane in the Membrane, Insane in the Brain,
Yeah, that's a little bit later.
But that was later on. Like, what year was Insane in the Membrane?
I'm just looking that up right now, actually.
93.
Thank you.
1993. Insane in the Brain came out in 1993. So same year as this album. But
so maybe this album was just too early. Like if this album came out afterwards, because it seems like that was the breaking point for a lot of these bands. You know what I mean? Like Onyx was huge. Like I think 1993. Am I right on that? Onyx seems like 1993ish to me too. When he was a big star.
Yeah, Slam. That was their 1993 hit.
Dun 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 dun. Let the boys be boys. I mean, come on, man. That thing freaking pumps. But like all these songs, like the collaborators were big. Like Pearl Jam was absolutely at their peak in 1993. That's when I'd say Pearl Jam was the biggest they've ever been. It might be, I think the next year they actually hopped on when Neil Young did Rockin' with the Free World on MTV. But 1993, Pearl Jam, Red Hot Chili Peppers, that's when they were kings. This is right after Metallica and Guns N' Roses had their day. So this album had Pearl Jam at its peak on it. So I'm shocked that it didn't do better. Like, listen, if you're listening to us, which thank you very much, and leave comments below and let us know what you think and if you agree with us or disagree with us. But this is a soundtrack that you have to listen to. Go on YouTube. You don't have to go buy it. Just go on YouTube. Go listen to it. I think you're going to be really impressed. And I'm grateful that Liars and Wasted both going, hey, listen, we have an idea. Originally, we were going to talk new metal tonight, and then Liars is like, well, Judgment Day. I'm like, or Judgment Night. I'm like, yeah, that movie with Emilio Estevez where they're going to a boxing match and shit happens. He goes, no, dude, the soundtrack's great. It might be the first new metal one. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? That was way before new metal. And, he posted a link, and Wasted got really excited about it, and he's talking about the track listing. I'm like, Damn, you both are right. So, tip of the cap to both of you. But, yeah. Well, no, I'm serious. Like, liars, like, get excited about this. Tell the audience what you were describing it earlier. Like, hey, listen, me and my boys, we just graduated high school and we're smoking a Mar bread. We're getting ready to go to a party. Like, you pop this shit in there. It set the mood.
That's right, man. That's exactly what it was. Hot summer nights, listening to a rap rock mashup. It was amazing, man. It was the early 90s. Nobody cared. Everything was cool. We all dressed cool. We had cool hair. I had hair. And it was amazing, man. Like, you get Sonic Youth.
Please, liars, please tell me you assholes had speakers in the trunk.
Some of us did. Yeah, for sure. Of course. Absolutely.
Because I'm just picturing you guys driving like the Vanilla Ice Mustang 5.0.
Yeah.
Freaking speakers in the trunk, just rolling smooth by, trying to, you're all slicked back. You just get your new haircut. You're trying to look cool for the ladies. I don't even remember what was cool back then. 1993. What was it? Bugle Boy jeans? What was it?
Flannels, buddy. Levi's and flannels.
Yeah, Twin Peaks.
Okay.
Like leather jackets, flannel.
So Wires is going the route of the flannels, like, the grunge, and like, Snoop Dogg in his videos are rocking the flannels. Were you wearing the Timberlands?
Yeah.
Of course. No, Wires are wasted.
Some motorcycle boot.
Goddamn wasted. I'm trying to go over to you to find out what you were doing over in England, and you're just like, fuck you. In 1993, what were you cool folks doing over in England? Was it bowl cuts and soccer jerseys and hooliganism? What was it?
Yeah, it was a mixture of those type of things. Yeah, it was a mixture of it was kind of grunge and Britpop, but kind of also most people dressed a bit like Twin Peaks. It was a bit like jeans and flannel because that was grunge and it was Guns N' Roses. So jeans were still big with kind of boots. T-shirts and jackets, but maybe some Oasis style Britpop was coming in. But this type of album, probably in the UK was like a little bit too like American and Hollywood for the actual time. But I think Elias is right that I think what he's saying is like a trailblazing album where these bands had power, because they're all kind of pretty powerful at the time. And they may have invented new metal. So it might be the kind of blueprint or, it's some sort of like idea. This can be kind of commercial and good, And then these bands came through which just did the whole thing,
Well, Rick Rubin was involved in it.
Yeah, he was. He produced.
Yeah, he's down here in he's on one of the tracks, isn't he?
Yeah.
Slayer,
Ice-T, he produced.
Well, you got to imagine it. If he was involved with one of the tracks, he's probably got his hands on the other ones because, he's what you call somebody that, gets involved and puts his fingers in everything. Now, before we end, and once again, folks, go check this out on YouTube. Put your comments below what your favorite track is off this soundtrack. I want to know what Liar's favorite track is. I want to know what Wasted's favorite track is. And obviously mine's already been said, which is that Fallen, which is the cover of the kind of like a remix of the Tom Petty one. But, let's go, boys. What is it? Tell me.
Mine, for sure. Sugar come by, get me high. I Love You, Mary Jane, Sonic Youth, and Cypress Hill. So good. Best track on the album.
A question for you, Liars. Is that in Half Baked?
I don't know. Maybe.
It might be with Dave Chappelle. It could be. My special brain's starting to think that.
Yeah, mine.
All right, Wasted, what's your pick?
Definitely Another Body Murdered. It's just like really heavy sort of riff with them rapping over the top of it, And then Mike Patton's contribution is basically the chorus where he screams, Yeah, flipping rocks like.
I love Mike Patton. I love Mike.
Yeah, I mean, he's the great vocalist. He can just do anything, and he turns this. He's playing the victim in the song. I think the Booyah Tribe are basically killing him, and he's like
amazing, so versatile,
screaming.
What a great name for a band, by the way, the Booyah Tribe.
Booyah.
Oh yeah.
I know it sounds silly, but that just amuses the shit out of me.
Yeah, and they look like total, like, real gangsters. You know, none of them look like Hollywood pretty boys or anything like that. They're just hanging around with AK-47s, waiting to shoot somebody in the club.
Yeah, like the one I said, Fallen Dude by De La Soul, it's got the chorus from Free Fallin' in it. I mean, it's just, it's one of those things you're like, what the hell am I listening to? And this is before remixes and, like, you know, mashups. So this was, you know what? I feel stupid, and I just realized this. Boys, was this their, like, original mashup album?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
There isn't another one with rap and rock.
I mean, there is later on with Linkin Park and Jay-Z, but I mean, that's, you know, a decade later. Well, Wasted, do you have anything else you'd like to add tonight?
No.
All right, how about you, Liars?
I'm good.
All right, Liars, why don't you take us out?
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Look for us on YouTube. Hit like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. We'll get back to you. Also look for us on Rumble. And if you're not on Rumble, check us out on Spotify and from Spotify, wherever else you get your podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, Judgment Night is upon us.
Toxic pollution.